Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first ever, and I mean the very first ever, Rage Against the Regime Radio. Yes, we have made it to Blog Talk. We have made it to the real world where we can actually sit and talk to all of our listeners, and we can have people call in, and I was stuck pretty much in the prehistoric age, I guess you can say, when I was on Spreaker and Podomatic. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to keep posting the show there, but this is going to be something completely different for me. I wasn't set up for intros and outros and all that type of stuff today, but we're going to make the best of it. I'm waiting on my very special guest today, who happens to be Tom from Bunker Report, and we have a ton of stuff to talk about today. A lot of the stuff that a lot of people have been asking a lot of questions about. We're going to get to that. We're going to take calls, but for like the first 30 minutes, 40 minutes, something like that, me and Tom are going to sit here and talk a little bit and try to, figure some things out and, and bring a nice show to you guys. So I hope that everybody enjoys the show, and feel free to call us. Okay, call-in number is 929-477-3565. That's 929-477-3565. Do not be bashful. Call us. We want to hear from you. I know that a lot of you are going to have a ton of questions, and we're going to get to your questions. You may have to sit on hold for a little while, but we're going to try to make it as harmless as possible. So I'm just actually waiting for Tom to call me right now, and as soon as Tom calls me, we're going to start talking to him. Lots of news to get to. A lot of stuff going on right now with Ebola. There's a ton of info going around right now. And the numbers that they're talking about of people to get Ebola is, they're talking over 1 million people. And now they're starting to say, they were kind of steering away from saying that it was actually airborne and that it was that it wasn't going to be as bad as it really is. But it's looking like it's turning out a lot worse than any of them ever expected. So, it kind of worries me to know that, the government knows about this type of stuff, and, what are they really doing about it? I mean, they say that, I guess the CDC just went out and bought, 140 some odd thousand Ebola suits, to protect the people that are trying to help the people that have Ebola and stuff like that, and mostly like medical staff and so on and so forth. But I guess they just went out and bought tons of the suits and stuff. So that's quite interesting to know that they're expecting something. Okay. They're expecting something. So if they're expecting something, what does that tell you? I know what it tells me. It tells me to get my butt ready, and be prepared because, it's, I don't know, doesn't make any sense. It looks like we're having problems with the show. Okay, let me, maybe I got booted. I don't know, can anybody hear me? I'm going to log out and come back. Okay, I'll be right back. People are telling me that they can't get in. I'll be right back. I think that I'm back. Wow. Holy cow. For some reason, I believe that I got booted, and I have no idea what happened, but a lot of people were saying that they didn't hear me, and that's actually, that was actually pretty scary. Wow, to know that something like that could happen. We are going to bring Tom in right now. And, Tom, are you there?
Yeah, how you doing, Bobby?
There we go. I'm sorry, everybody, I apologize. Let me please apologize. This system that they have this set up on is completely different than I'm used to. And I guess it booted me, and I was sitting there talking to myself, and I don't even think I was on the air. So here we are, and welcome aboard, and everybody else, I apologize. But, yes, the man, the myth, the legend, he's finally here. Let's welcome aboard Tom.
Thanks, Bobby. How's it going for you, man?
Oh, man, it's going good. It's going real good. I've been doing my homework trying to look at a lot of stuff that I actually really wanted to cover today, but you know what? I'm not saying that you are somebody that I'm interviewing. I'm saying that you're my co-host today. So
okay.
You pretty much, you know, have as much control as I do, and, you know, I know we've got tons to talk about, and, you know, I think one thing that, you know, I would like to cover is, you know, all the Ebola news that's going around right now. You know, and the CDC going out and buying all the suits that they bought and everything, you know, they must be expecting something huge.
Yeah, you know, and that's a hot topic right now because there's just so much going on with that. And as far as the CDC, that was actually, I believe, the State Department that went out and bought all the suits. But you know, that could be distributed on a worldwide basis on like a global scale. But even I don't know which one is more troubling, whether it would be our own CDC or FEMA purchasing these suits, or if it's more disturbing for it to be a global type of distribution. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, either way is scary, but geez.
Absolutely. Yeah, that, you know, like you said, it's a hot topic, and, you know, when you sit here and look at all the news that's going around about this, you know, and for what they're telling us, well, you know as well as I do, the mainstream media doesn't say crap about anything. You know, they're a bunch of propaganda, but, I mean, for what we're getting from, you know, from alternate, you know, outlets and stuff, I mean, it's really scary.
You know, Bobby, and there's so much piling up on even both sides of the alternative media, because you have a lot of people saying that Ebola is just a red herring so that they can create some type of false flag event here in the U.S. with this ISIS situation. Then you got everybody saying ISIS is nothing more than a CIA operation. That you know, there's so much information floating around out here. It's so hard to pick through and actually find the truth, but I guess that's what we're all trying to do.
Right. Well, you know what? Let's start there then. And you know what? And let me address everybody on hold. We will get to your calls. I do have quite a few people on hold. I can get up to 200 callers, so we will get to your calls for about the first 20, 30 minutes. You know, we're going to go back and forth and talk, but we will get to your calls. So everybody, please, you know, just hold tight, and we will get to you. But I want to start talking about the ISIS situation. Sure. It's kind of funny that you bring up, you know, about the government. Everybody's saying that it's a government operation. I've been saying that since, you know, the whole thing was even talked about. We had the Al-Qaeda completely torn apart all the way down to the bare core. I mean, they were gone. All of a sudden, yes, we just start leaving the country and everything, and John Kerry goes over there, then John McCain and whatever, and then all of a sudden, Bilderberg group gets together and has a little meeting, and right after the Bilderbergs have their little meeting, kind of funny that all of a sudden, here we have ISIS just coming out of nowhere.
You know, Bobby, something I've been thinking about for a while, and I've kind of been putting this together. This is just one of me forming my own, I guess, opinion or whatever about the situation with this ISIS deal. Did you notice a while back when Russia started flexing, okay? When Russia started flexing their muscle, everywhere you looked in the mainstream, all you seen was Spetsnaz and Russian soldiers running around wearing masks and Kalashnikovs and all this gear and all these tanks and just armored personnel carriers, you name it. So at that point, I thought, you know, that's funny because it seems like all they want is funding. They want to turn that printing press on because we got to beat the big bad Russians. You know what I mean? Which Russia isn't really even a threat. They're just trying to get by with their economy in a hostile world anyway. And it just seems like now they're rehashing this with ISIS. It's just funny to me. It's like now they just want more funding again because we got to go and they got 10 NATO countries now, and they're trying to now we got to go after the big bad radical Islamic State. You know what I mean? It's here we go again. It just seems like they just want more and more. They're pushing more in our face to turn that printing press on.
Sure. Well, exactly. I think that, you know, the reason why they're doing what they're doing is to help impose martial law more than they are already. I mean, here where I live in Chicago, martial law is all over the place. I mean, this is a police state like none other. You know, yeah, absolutely. But I will say, ever since they started imposing martial law a little bit more here, crime has went down dramatically. Killings are nothing like they were. You don't hear about it as much in the news as you did before. I mean, it's really, really lowered itself here. But,
you know, that's another thing, Bobby. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
A lot of people, you know, they really don't understand what martial law really is. I mean, when they come in, they shut it all down. I mean, you're talking checkpoints, curfews, you name it. And they could easily do it in a city, but I always question the fact if they could do it on a national level without some type of United Nations foreign troops coming in here.
Well, they're already here.
Mm-hmm.
They're already here. They're all over the place. Look at all the places. You posted a video not too long ago. 3-4 months ago, maybe a little bit longer. And that was somebody that was flying in a helicopter over a UN base. Look at how many vehicles were there. There was thousands.
I mean, they're not sitting there for nothing.
No, exactly. Yep. And you know, it's kind of funny because, you know, some of the aircraft that we have flying around the city here now, Chicago never had police in a helicopter.
Yeah.
Okay? We never had that here before. Now, I guess, you know, they went out and bought 1 or 2 helicopters for the Chicago police, but I've been seeing a ton of different helicopters flying around here that are not Chicago police, but they're military copters of some sort. I mean, black helicopters, all types of stuff.
I really think, Bobby, that's something, and, you know, everybody, we all have our own theories and perspectives and opinions on what may be going down, whether it be Ebola, whether it be a false flag attack, whether it's some type of just natural disaster. But I really think, and it's just, they're not doing all this preparing for nothing. If something really, really big is coming down the pipe, and I think when it really hits, I think all of us, including me and you and a lot of other people that, you know, look for certain issues out here, I think we're all going to be really surprised when it really goes.
What do you mean? You think it's going to be something bigger than we can imagine, or do you think that?
Oh, I hope not. I just think it's going to be a combination. That's what I'm thinking. I think it's going to be a combination of events that's going to just cascade into something very, very big. And it's never going to be, you know, I get called a doomer all the time, whatever, but it's never going to be the end of the world. It may be the end of the world as we know it, but the world's not going to end. We're just going to have to deal with the issues as they come along and transition into a new way of living. That's for sure.
Right. Well, with all the things that, you know, that's going on in the world right now, it's like, which one do you handle first? You know, right. you got all the all the threats going on. Look at all these, all the floods going on everywhere, and then all the holes in the ground. I mean, we got so much stuff that we could talk about right now, and it's just, oh my God, it's crazy. It's just, how do you handle it?
If people, I don't know how many listeners we have that read a lot. I tend to read a lot because I get bored with TV. I just see the psyops and they're lying to us. I mean, even on like a regular TV show. But if anybody gets a chance, read a book by a guy named Guy McPherson. It's called Going Dark. He talks about how our environment, just the environment alone, has triggered what they call self-reinforcing feedback loops, which is what is happening in your atmosphere and with the weather and all these weather patterns. Our whole climate is meandering. I mean, things are happening in bands. That's why we have like a biblical drought in one area, and then you have like a desertification in another area. Yeah, it's really it's out there, man.
Well,
look at California right now, Bobby.
Oh yeah, California is bad. One of my daughters lives in California, and it's kind of like by you guys because you guys got the real bad drinking water right now. A lot of that water, I guess, is contaminated and all that. That's what they're going through in California besides the drought. Yeah,
exactly. And you know what I see, Bobby? It may not be anytime soon, but I say in the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be a possible mass migration away from the West Coast. Not only because of the water situation, but because of the contamination by Fukushima. I mean, jeez.
Oh, yeah.
There's a number of things. Let's stick with one thing, Bobby. You're right. I mean, we could go on all night.
Let's stick with the ISIS situation right now.
Good stuff, man.
Things that I want to talk about is some of these beheadings and stuff. Now, A lot of people are going, these reporters getting killed and getting beheaded and this and that. I don't think I believe the whole story on that. And I don't believe that most of it is true, because where's the shadow when the one guy's standing over the other guy and he's about to kill him, supposedly? Where's the shadow?
Yeah.
Where's the blood? You don't see no blood. And I know if somebody's going to try to kill me, you can bet your butt I'm fighting. If somebody's getting ready to walk me off to my death or my family or I'm with a group of guys, are you kidding me? If there's 10 of us and 30 of them, and I'm not going to fight for my life? Are you kidding me? These videos that they're showing, these guys are just walking along. Oh, we're walking to our death now. I don't believe that for a minute.
And people tend to forget, Bobby, because, again, we live in an age of denial. I've said that before. Hollywood, look at the magic that Hollywood can play in, say, a horror flick. Let Warner Brothers Studio or let somebody bankroll Warner Brothers and say, hey, we need you. I mean, come on, they got the doors wide open. They say, hey, we need you to create a beheading video for us of 5 journalists getting beheaded. Make it look good. They could throw that on Fox News, MSNBC, anywhere they want and play it off all day long. Because why? Because they want to go into these countries. They tried to go into Syria. The American people stood up and said, that's enough. We're not going to play this game anymore. So now we have to start pushing more. They got to put it in your face. They have to put it in the American people's face so that they say, okay, let's do it. It's huge.
Right. Well, you know what? I wish they would have picked somebody better to do the video because it was terrible. All of them have been terrible except for the last one. I mean, at least give me something entertaining to look at. No, that's bad humor. It's because it wasn't entertaining at all, and I didn't mean it that way. But I'm saying the people that they hired for the job were terrible.
And then the guy.
One thing I wanted. Go ahead. You're going to say exactly what I was going to say.
The terrorist, he had a British accent.
Yeah, what the hell? These guys are running rampant in the street, showing their faces and everything. Why the hell would the executioner have something on his face? Why would he have a mask on?
Exactly.
I mean, really?
Well, because
come on,
you gotta scare everybody, Bobby. It's scare tactics. They gotta get everybody, oh my God, and they gotta scare everybody. It's the fear factor, I guess you could say, because most people sit with their bag of Doritos in front of the TV and they're just eating this stuff up. They're watching the O'Reilly Factor and, we got to get them terrorists. like I said before, Bobby, remember we talked about this? I said when they put O'Reilly on TV, he's looking at you right in your face. He's in your living room talking to you, looking at you eye to eye. He brings up a topic. Then he brings on a whole panel of experts to back up everything he's saying to a T. And then when you turn that TV off and walk away, that's the impression you're left with. That's your final decision. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Exactly.
So they can sway the American people.
So, that's what I think that really has a lot to do with. Same thing, anything to, the people are scared. They're going to go run into the government. Oh, you have to help us. Please help us, blah, blah, blah. Oh, if you want our help, you have to give us your guns. You have to give us, this and that. And here, you have to stay at this place called the FEMA camp.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
I think that's what it's all about.
And they're out there. It's just, like I say, we live in an age of denial. And it's not. Most people wouldn't believe it until they're behind the fence looking out. Simple as that.
Absolutely.
And then they would deny it.
Well,
they'd deny that anyone told them about it.
Let's take a call. Let's take one of our first callers. I'm going to go to this person. And let's see. Caller. Supposed to unblock the caller. Let's see. Right here. Hello, caller. From 217 area code. Who do you got?
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, I guess I was going to be kind of a guest, Bobby, so I don't know that I'm actually a caller because this is kind of weird science going on here, and I realize you guys maybe haven't been doing this all that long that you can sort the calls out, but I made a movie, and I didn't know whether Tom wanted to set the movie up or not. Tom just said, hey, give us a call about, 10 after the hour, and we'll talk about your movie. My name's Mark. This call's coming from Springfield, Illinois, and I'm a former radio talk show host, but I'm also did about 25 years in local media around the country as a TV anchor, TV reporter. So I don't know if that qualifies me as a member of the mainstream media. Probably not, because I think when most people talk mainstream media, they're talking about the national media. I can talk with you about ISIS, or I can talk with you about this movie that I made, because I made a movie that's never been done before, and it's on a topic that I'd like to think is somewhat toxic. So, if Tom wants to set it up, Tom, do you want to set it up?
Yeah, the movie actually was called 22 After. It was very interesting. I don't know if did you get that link on that I sent you, Bobby?
Oh, absolutely. I love that movie.
Yeah, it was very.
No. I don't mean I love the outcome. I love how it was put together. I don't mean I like the outcome. Don't get me wrong. I like how the movie was put together.
Glad you did,
if
Bob,
that makes any sense.
Because I'll tell you, I didn't much like the movie, and I didn't much like how it was put together either. And I can say that because I made the damn thing. But, it is what it is. And earlier Tom referenced Guy McPherson, and how this movie started was back in December of last year. My brother, who lives out in the Bay Area, sent me a couple of books. He's a reader, and he's a retired attorney, and he and his wife are moving up to Oregon. At any rate, he sent me this Guy McPherson book, Going Dark. He also sent me a book by a guy named James Kunstler called Too Much Magic. At any rate, and it's interesting because the McPherson book is what's called near-term human extinction, and that's the contention that whatever the tipping point is or was, we probably passed it about 10 years ago as a planet, as a species. And the Kunstler book, on the other hand, Too Much Magic, makes the argument that in another 20 years, we're going to turn back the clock to maybe the 1850s with a pre-oil, pre-industrial society where you'll be driving a team of horses behind a plow or in front of a plow and reading by candlelight, and the candle will have been made from, tallow. But I read the McPherson book, the near-term human extinction book. The short version of that is called Doomers. And I thought, I've always wanted to make a movie. I'm a retired TV guy. I know my way around a camera. I know my way around an editing bay, and I know how to write a little bit. So I just sat down at the computer and started writing the script. And then I went to a local guy here in Springfield, Illinois, who runs the Central Illinois Film Commission, which is basically a bunch of actors, semi-professional actors. And I said, hey, I want you to read a couple of pages of this script, see what you think. And he read it, and he said, well, it's kind of dark, but he said, it's not half bad. He goes, why don't you write some more? So I did. And over the space of about, 3-4 weeks, I wrote this script, basically, which is the short version of it is, and we can swear here, can't we, Bobby?
Sure.
I can drop the F-bomb. Well, the short version of this is we're fucked, or we're all fucked, however you want to call it, And that doesn't particularly resonate well with survivalists, because a lot of survivalists would like to think that when the end comes, when the grid goes down, 5-10 years later, you guys come out from your bunkers after having eaten K rations and lived on bottled water for 5 years, and you dust the dirt off of your clothes and go back to not your life before the fall. But you grab your AK or your H&K or your Ruger or whatever you happen to have, and you go out and start hunting squirrels and raising wheat and corn and whatnot. And true near-term human extinction people like Guy McPherson say, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. This is much more like the movie Melancholia, which I've been trying to get Tom to watch. And that is, it's an extinction event. And extinction means just what it says, and that is we're all extinct. Human beings become extinct. There are none of us left in 100 years. And so I wrote this rather dark script, which is 22 survivors, the title, 22 after. It's 22 survivors 1 year after the grid goes down. And I set it kind of in a Springfield, which I'm familiar with. I've lived here for 8 years now. And Springfield, the state capital of Illinois, mid-state. It's a city of about 100,000 or so. And I went from the contention or the supposition, whatever, that of those 100,000 people, a year after the collapse of society, there'd maybe be 100 or 200 left. And I said, hey, wouldn't it be fun if an anonymous filmmaker or a documentarian or whatever you want is wandering the countryside and interviewing survivors about what it was like when the grid went down, what it was like in the days and weeks and the years since the grid goes down. And a lot of people said, well, why would this documentarian do that? And I said, well, because he or she doesn't have long to live either. She makes movies. That's what she does, or he makes movies. And so, basically wanted to document what the crash was like and the aftermath. So I found a bunch of, like I say, semi-professional actors. I had written the script, and we spent the next 3 or 4 months wandering the countryside and finding cool, funky locations. And these people would stand in front of the camera and basically deliver a 3 or 4 or 5 minute monologue about what their recollections of the crash was like. And then we intercut it with some semi-scary shots of scenes that the filmmaker would run across while she was wandering the countryside interviewing these people. Now, I've told everybody, and I've told a lot of people, and I probably told too many people, this is a movie that I had to make. It was a movie that I wanted to make, but it wasn't, and it was the movie that I could afford to make, but it wasn't the movie that I really wanted to make. And what I mean by that is I self-financed this all myself. It started out as a zero-budget movie, and when all was said and done, I probably invested $3,000 or $4,000 of my own money, and I don't have much. I'm like most people, working stiff kind of guy. The movie I wanted to make basically had professional actors. It had professional makeup people. It had professional wardrobe people. It had better locations, and it had really skinny people who looked like they hadn't had a good meal in a year. But I couldn't afford that. You know, we put out a casting call and asked for people, and if they showed up and they looked like, you know, they were a little bit on the plump side, if they could deliver their lines, they got a part in the movie. And so the criticism of the movie has been twofold at this point. About a third of the people say, well, it's bogus. It looks like a bad high school movie. It looks like some college kids set about to make a movie and that's what they got, or some high schoolers set about to make a movie. And about 2/3 of the people say, wow, that movie is so disturbing I couldn't watch more than the first 30 or 40 minutes. I like the second criticism. I like the latter. I like somebody saying that movie's so disturbing I couldn't watch the 30 or 40 minutes. But when people tell me that it looks amateurish, it just kills me. Because I didn't want to make the amateurish movie. I wanted to make the movie that was so brutally realistic that, you know, if you could watch it through the whole thing, it was kind of like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but I remember Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I saw it when I was about 18 or 19 for the first time, and I walked out of the theater feeling like somebody had punched me in the gut. I mean, I didn't feel right for hours after that. It was such a disturbing, dark bummer of a movie. I wanted to make that movie. I wanted to make the movie that was so disturbing that people at the end of it said to themselves, why did I put myself through that? Hey, I got to call my good buddy Bill and tell him to watch it. I think what happened was I made a movie that was kind of disturbing, but a lot of people watched it and they said, oh, my God, that was make-believe. That was silly. So we're going to try and remake the movie. I've got a couple of the members of the original cast who have said, yeah, let's try and remake the movie. Let's use the original movie as a vehicle to crowdfund. Let's grab the best 10 minutes of the original movie, put it together, and throw up a crowdfunding effort on GoFundMe or Indiegogo or, you know, Kickstarter, one of those. And people can watch the original movie for free, and then we'll say, we want to make the real movie. We want to make the movie that nobody can say that's an amateurish effort. We want the movie that's so brutally realistic you want to throw up at the end of it. Because in my heart of hearts, and I'll get up on the soapbox here, I think you survivalists, I think you guys are crazy, because I think what's happening, I think what's coming down the pike is not going to be survivable. I think this is quite possibly the last generation of human beings to walk the face of the earth. I think that probably by maybe 2050, 2060, the average daytime temperature is so hot and the environment is so hostile that human beings simply can't survive. And, you know, I mean,
why do you say that?
There is a flip side to that coin, though, Mark. There's a lot of people. Yeah. There's a lot of opposition to that theory as far as an ice age coming rather than global warming. I mean, we have the proof of the methane release, but there is an opposition out there.
I understand. I understand, and you know, one of my customers, you know, I do home handyman stuff on the side. That's how I keep the lights turned on. And one of my customers, a nice guy, is an attorney with the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency, and a bit of a prepper, a bit of a survivalist, and he writes regs all day long. And we were having this discussion yesterday, and he said, you know, the sea ice is growing. We're actually entering an ice age. Well, you know, I'm sorry. And I understand people that say that, and I understand people that get into conspiracy theories, and you can you know, find people who will tell you that 9/11 was a government plot. Maybe both of you guys do. I don't know. You know, I worked for Sprint some years ago, and I went out to Los Angeles for training, and there was about 20 of us in the crowd or in the class, and everybody that was 20 or younger, you know, college kids, believe that we never went to the moon. And I'm scratching my head saying, huh, what? We never went to the moon? Yeah, no, we never went to the moon. That was all done on a Hollywood soundstage. Well, you know, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit more, you know, logical than that. I know we went to the moon. I know what happened with 9/11. I absolutely know what happened with 9/11. As a journalist, I can tell you exactly what's going on with ISIS, and I can counter every single argument you have. I know what happened with John Kennedy. I know that Lee Harvey Oswald was a lone gunman and popped John F. Kennedy. He was a good shot. He wasn't a great shot, but he was a good shot, and it wasn't a particularly difficult shot, and he was insane. I mean, the guy
I sure would like to hear your take on ISIS there, Mark.
Yeah, I'd like to hear it too, because I think you're nuts if you think that. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean I don't see how it would be possible, but.
Well, as a journalist, here's what happens. As a journalist and somebody who, local TV reporter, and I don't know what guys know about local TV reporters, but they don't get paid dick. They're some of the poorest people. If you go to your local, and Tom, you're in Dayton, I don't think Dayton has. Does Dayton have TV? I think you're watching Cleveland TV, aren't you?
No, I'm actually not Dayton. I'm actually way further south of like the Canton area and Stark County area.
Oh, I'm sorry, Canton. Yeah. So, but aren't you down in Canton? Aren't you still watching Cleveland TV?
Yeah, it's on there when I do turn the tube on. I mean,
well,
that's hardly ever.
I was going to say, you don't even watch TV.
Well, I'm just telling you, I worked in Cleveland. I worked in the Cleveland market for 2 years as a reporter. That was as far as I made it. That was as high on the pecking chain as I got. And I can tell you that in Cleveland, I wasn't making dick. And in any market that I ever worked, I never made really. We never had two nickels to rub together because we were so poorly paid. But the one thing that I do know is I can watch Fox News and I can go, this is just total crap. It's not journalism at all. I don't know what it is. It's more showbiz than anything else. I know I can watch some of the news. I can watch PBS and I can watch some of the network stuff and go, okay, well, they're playing fast and loose with the facts, but there's enough there that I can get my arms around it and go, okay, I understand what's going on. ISIS scares the shit out of me because I'm an atheist. And I think this is radicalized Islam at its worst. I think it's every bit as scary and bad as they talk about. I think it grew out of George W. Bush's fuck up, and he was a master of fuck up. This guy was a fuck up like nobody's business. He was quite possibly as big, if not bigger, a fuck up than Ronald Reagan, and that's saying a whole lot from my perspective. And I think ISIS is what you see. I absolutely believe those beheadings are what you are seeing. I don't think there's any bullshit. There's no Hollywood phony bullshit going on there. These are some scary motherfuckers. And I'm not saying that because I'm being the voice of reason or the voice of opposition or trying to counter you. And I could I could sit down with a beer and say, this is why it is what it is. We basically started, for the longest time, Saddam Hussein basically was the brutal dictator who had his thumb on all these people. And if an ISIS had even started back when Saddam Hussein was in power, his secret police would have just gone out and got him, and they would have never been heard from again. But when we took Saddam Hussein out of there, and the Sunnis and the Shia, neither of which have got a whole bunch of sharp tools in their shed, basically went after each other in some kind of vendetta. And now ISIS, is basically the Middle East run amok in the worst possible scenario. And I think what's got to scare everybody, and it's got to scare everybody really, really into kind of a wake-up. 22 after, I based the 22 after scenario, the grid going down, and the grid goes down basically because of the environment. But the grid could just as easily go down in the movie The Road, in that scenario by a thermonuclear exchange between Pakistan and, say, India. Or if some ISIS character's got a hold of a nuclear weapon, whenever you have a religion that says you go right to heaven if you kill yourself in the name of your religion, you've got trouble on your hands. And we've got trouble on our hands with radical Islam. There's no two ways about it. And these guys. Let me ask you a question before you go further.
So where do you actually? How do you think that they actually formed together? I mean, do you think that it was just guys that fell off from Saddam, or?
ISIS is basically the remnants of radical groups. They were a splinter group from Al Qaeda. They were what happened when what's his name in Syria there tried to crack down. These are rebels who basically, there must be 2 or 3 of them, or they're smarter than your average Middle Eastern terrorist rebel kind of guy. And I don't like the word terrorist. I've never liked terrorist because, one guy's terrorist is the next guy's freedom fighter. So terrorist is such a subjective term. But I'll tell you, if there is such a thing as terrorist, these guys are pretty close to what the dictionary definition of terrorist is. But I think these guys were just basically, and there's not a whole lot of them. Look, there's only about 10,000 of them, which, in the whole scheme of things is a pretty goddamn small number. I mean, they'd fill the, if you grabbed every one of these ISIS guys, you could squeeze them all into the Springfield Metro Center, That's not saying a lot because the Springfield Metro Center is pretty goddamn small. But there's 10,000 of them. They're pretty well organized. They've got a whole bunch of media savvy, and they basically want to set up some kind of theocracy right in the middle of what's left of Iraq and Syria. And the problem is that the average Middle Eastern religious person, Muslim, says on one hand, well, I kind of like the whole concept of Islam and everything, and on the other hand, I really don't want to lose my own head by fighting these guys, so I'm just going to let them do what they're going to do. And they're, to my way of thinking, this is the remnants of what happened when Syria broke apart. And it's the bad elements of the rebels, not that there's a good elements of the rebels. But that's my long answer to your short question. But I think they are what they are. One thing
I can say about ISIS, and there's 2 ways I'll look at it, and I'll throw this out there because I know that. Anyway, I'll throw this out there. If ISIS is the real deal and they decide to invade and come into America, whether they attack the power grid and try to move in or whatever, I say bring that shit because there's so many people, there's so many militia groups, there's so many patriots. There are just simply so many guns in America right now. And I'll quote the old Japanese general back in World War II. He said, I would never invade the mainland United States. And his underling guy said, why is that, sir? And he said, because there would be a gun behind every blade of grass. And that was back then.
Well, and you're absolutely right about that, and I wouldn't discount that. Here's the problem that you have with them coming here and wreaking havoc, and they're not going to wreak havoc. I'd say it's much closer to they're going to do localized mayhem. If they bomb my local shopping mall or they take out a local power station, or probably the worst case, if they were able to break into the security of one of the 250 or 300 nuke plants we have in the U.S., they could create quite a bit of mayhem. My problem is in doing that, I'm not going to look at the guy down at Fort Jesus down the road or Guns for God, which is right next door to it, and I'm talking about the big box, evangelical churches. I'm not going to particularly worry about those guys. I'm going to walk up to guys on the street and say, are you a Muslim? And if they nod their head, I'm going to say, you're going to jail. And I'm going to walk to the next guy, are you a Muslim? Now, that is counter to everything that America is all about. But if you had an enemy in the border, and I used to joke about this on my radio show, guys, because I did talk radio for a year and a half here in Springfield. I'd walk up to each one of these guys and say, here's a pork sandwich, eat it. And if they refuse to eat my pork sandwich, I'd say, you're going to jail right now. And then I walk to the next guy and say, eat this pork sandwich, because I don't think Muslims can eat pork. And so, like Jews. And so I would have some kind of litmus test, because if you have an invisible enemy, because, they've radicalized, a dozen Americans, maybe the number's as high as 100, crazy people who decided that Islam, and a religion that basically enslaves its women and marries its women off at 10 years and honor killings and all the other craziness that is all about Islam. If you've radicalized Americans who look like an Anglo and come back and, they're not Middle Eastern, you've got a problem if those people get back into the country. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Let me ask you this, Mark. Let's just say that okay, let's just say tomorrow morning you wake up and it's 10:45 a.m. and all of a sudden you're getting all these messages, emails, turn your TV on, turn your TV on. Now say there's a massive attack, all, different states, California, New York, Florida, Chicago, all these places, there's just bombs going off all over the place, just left and right. And just all of a sudden there's a presidential address on TV. As of 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight, there's a curfew. We're going to affect martial law. Now, if this happens and all of a sudden ISIS takes credit for it, do you think for 1 minute we won't be over there bombing the hell out of them and running amok over there and just wearing it out, same as we did with Al-Qaeda after 9/11?
Yeah, and that was, yes, that, absolutely, and it's a doomsday scenario, a very scary scenario, and I'd hate to see it happen because they used 9/11, which, come on, in the real scheme of things, 9/11 was nothing. 3,000 people? Are you kidding me? But they used it to take away a lot of our liberties.
Sure.
And it really was a one-trick pony. I mean, they were never going to be able to use hijacked airliners as kamikaze, vehicles ever again. It was only going to happen once. But the government used it and you could make a good argument. They used it to take away some of our liberties, because our liberties are what allowed that to happen. I could make the argument
they're not done yet.
Well, and you're probably right. They're not done yet. But I'm not as much of a conspiracy theorist. I think that kind of conspiracy on that large a scale would take people a whole lot brighter than Dick Cheney and George W. Bush or even Barack Obama in charge. At some point, don't get me wrong, at some point could the government be that smart? Yeah, but probably not in my lifetime. I just don't think there's that many. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't. I did a podcast not too long ago about 9/11, and there was some new video that was released, and I actually played the video. I posted the video at the end of the podcast, and I also had the audio on the podcast, so everybody could hear it. And on the podcast, you could hear the police telling people before Building 7 went down that the building was going to be coming down like the other ones did.
Okay.
And they're running around like mad people telling everybody to clear the streets, that the building is about to come down and this and that. And you could clearly hear boom, 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 boom. You could hear detonations and everything else. And now there was a video that was released this morning. I believe it was Dabu 7 that released it. It's a video showing the detonations on Building 7.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, but Bobby, and I'm not going to, I don't want to get all snarky here, and I have a bad habit of going snark pretty quick. I'm not going to get all. I'm not going to get all snarky here, but there are people that saw a puff of smoke behind the grassy knoll when Kennedy got shot. There are people who were absolutely convinced that Kennedy was part of, the Kennedy assassination was part of a plot. I don't buy it. I used to have this discussion with one of the other talk show hosts at the station that I was a talk show host. He was absolutely convinced that Tower 1 and Tower 2 were brought down by a Jewish, that was a Jewish conspiracy, and the U.S. government had a hand in it, and that there's no way those towers could have fell from a jetliner hitting them. That the jetliner couldn't have done that. And the best thing I can say to that is, okay. Well, see,
I agree with that.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm not going to argue with, the fact that the guy who designed the fucking things, as soon as that jetliner hit, he said they're toast. They're coming down. There's no way that they can withstand the kind of heat generated by that much aviation fuel spilling into their guts and burning uncontrolled for 20 minutes. It's going to weaken all the steel. Those fucking things are coming down. You might as well evacuate and clear the area because they're coming down. And they know that guy said that within 10 minutes of that first jetliner hitting. So you can, like I say, one of my cast members, and boy, talk about an opportunity to go snarky, because I unload on this chick every chance I get. One of the cast members in 22 After is a believer in chemtrails. I mean, my next movie, I want to go to every goddamn airline pilot and say, hey, tell me about chemtrails, and please try not to laugh that much. I'm making a serious movie here. But look, you can come up with conspiracy theories on goddamn fucking anything. But like Abe Lincoln said it best. You can fool some of the people some of the time. You can fool some of the people all the time. You can't fool all the people all the time. Conspiracy theories take on a life of their own, and I'm not going to sit here and just, discuss that. I'll just say, for my money, as a trained journalist who did it for 20-plus years, ISIS is exactly what you see is what you get. A scary bunch of theocrats who want to start their own, their own caliphate, where they're going to go after everybody who doesn't believe in some kind of uber strict Sharia law, and they're crazy people. But I say that, and are you religious, Bobby, or are you a good Christian?
No, I'm not. I'm actually Catholic by birth, atheist by choice. Okay,
and Tom, you're a good Christian, right?
I stay on the fence pretty much.
You say that's
right.
I'm sorry. That's right. You're right. Okay, you told me you're a fence sitter on that one. I'll just say this because one of the things I'm probably not on the radio anymore is because my radio show I used to go after religious people all the time, and I'll just say my litmus test is you show me somebody who believes in the Bible, I'll show you somebody who believes in goddamn anything, because that's how goofy the Bible is, and it doesn't take much reading of the Bible to go, oh my God, this is just absurd, but I think these people, these ISIS guys, are as scary as snake handlers in the hills of West Virginia, as the guys who, Fort Jesus out in Oklahoma or somewhere like that, where they all have, Onward Christian Soldier boot camp. Anytime you mix religion and guns, you've got problems.
I want to jump out, Mark.
What's that?
Jump out here, and I just want to jump out and interject something that
go ahead.
That I believe to be true. All conspiracies aside, and all everything else, I try as much as I can to operate in fact.
Right.
The catch is, we need the Middle East. We need everything over there. We need that whatever. See, this is what what you're seeing right now, and what you've seen since Bush got into office is what they consider global positioning for the last bit of the low-hanging fruit.
You're absolutely right.
Absolutely
right.
Yep.
Absolutely right.
We have drilled this planet. We have drilled this planet to the oblivion for energy resources, so we can continue our way of living. Now the problem here is, and that was the whole reason back in the day that they decided that they was going to take over 5 countries, and Syria was one of them. Now, anytime we drill now, we have to go to what I call deep, dark, remote, and dangerous places to get whatever remaining oil. And people always jump down my throat, oh, Tom, there's so much oil, there's plenty of oil. I agree. There's actually a vast amount of oil left, a lot of it. But it's how much you put into it, energy return on energy invested, how much are you getting out versus what you're putting in. So anything that threatens global positioning in the Middle East, the United States and NATO countries are going to react because there's contracts, there's everything else. So that's just all conspiracies aside. It pushes me to believe that maybe there is that slight possibility that they can blow up certain things and put them in the media to condition you to say, yes, let's get them, so that they can continue this global positioning for the leftover low-hanging fruit. And I'll just throw one last thing in on that because, here we go, but I don't have proof on this, but I can tell you guys. In the second time we went to Iraq, you remember when we went to the Gulf War the first time, right?
Sure, yeah.
What was they doing over there?
Yep.
They started burning the oil fields, okay?
Right.
Yep.
I have a dear friend of mine that I really don't communicate with too much anymore because he's kind of lost that I checked in with him here and there. But this guy was special operations. I mean, he was tier 1. He was one of the best of the best. When they deployed to Iraq the second time, do you know where he was, him and his unit?
Where?
They were sitting on an oil rig, protected. Don't let anybody in there.
Yeah, I've heard about a lot of guys doing that.
I absolutely agree with you that oil is number one because, and I've said this before, virtually everything you can see, whether it's your callers or you guys, everything you can see, with the exception of the sky outside, has been touched by oil. Whether it's your building, whether it's the clothes you're wearing, whether it's the food you're eating, whether it's the plastics in anything you touch, your car out in the parking lot itself, everything is fucking oil at this point. And you're absolutely right, Tom. The only oil that's left is the stuff that you got to either drill out of the bottom of the ocean somewhere, or you got to scoop it out of dirt in Canada. And there's still a lot of oil left in the Middle East, and it is still kind of the low-hanging fruit, although those people don't want to give it away anymore like they did, 40 years ago when we basically said, hey, give us your oil, and you can continue to live here. I guess, and I'll swing back to the movie. Whatever happens, however it happens, I'm such a doomer, and the real term for doomer is the fact that we are all doomed. I'm such a doomer. If we don't run out of oil, we know we're running out of water. I had this discussion the other night when I did a blog show with a guy, and I said, we're running out of water. And I said, just go on Google and Google the Ogallala Aquifer. Every site you see says that the Ogallala Aquifer, which is the primary water source for the agriculture in about 7 Midwestern states, it's about 75-80% depleted. When it's gone, in another 15 years at the outside, there's no more. It's not like it's depleting. It's not like a couple of years of good rainfall is going to fill up the Ogallala Aquifer. And that's what they pump out to get all the corn and Midwest wheat crops. When it's gone, those crops are gone. And when those crops are gone, the shit is going to hit the fan. As a nation, the shit is going to hit the fan. And so I'll tell people, and I don't know if you've got a link to it on your blog site or, Tom, I'll let you deal with the logistics of getting people to go to C-22 after. It's free. The remake isn't going to be free at some point. And, and Tom, I'm going to lean on you once we get around to getting the crowdfunding all ready to go. I'm going to lean on you to tell your audience, go to the .com, 22after.com, and help crowdfund this thing, and they'll make the real movie. But right now, you can see the movie we made, and it's kind of scary. Try not to laugh at the rough spots.
The thing is, and what I told people, Mark, I said even if you don't like whatever the rough spots, I said hell, you can turn that thing on and lay in your bed in the dark and just listen to it. It's startling enough because,
absolutely.
Like I told him, I says, just like you said, Mark, and I truly believe this. No matter which way it goes down, me and Bobby was just talking about that earlier, whether it's one thing or a combination of different events, that's where we're going. That movie is a perfect example of where we're going.
Well, our lifestyle is not sustainable. We know that. I had this discussion. One of the things that started me down the path to even making the movie is just the sheer frustration. My girlfriend's sister-in-law, about a year ago, actually it was just about a year ago, about this time last summer, I was just getting so fed up. I said, Amy, what do you think's going to happen in another 30 or 40 years? I'll be gone. You'll be gone. Your kids will be in their 50s. I said, do you think Americans are just going to be driving 50-year newer Chevys and Chryslers and Fords? And, we'll be eating food that's, been bioengineered, but it's basically the same food, and the clothes will be a little bit different, and the construction techniques will be a little bit different. Hell, maybe we'll all be driving aero cars, But I said, do you think this continues forever? Your standard of living, the fact that, you go down to your friendly Mickey D's and order up a burger, or, you turn the tap on and the water comes on, and she looked at me and she said, well, sure, why not? Well, the short answer is, Amy, just because it's been this way for your entire adult life doesn't mean that it's going to continue this way for the foreseeable future. This is a very unsustainable culture. And this culture has not existed for much more than, maybe since the 1920s or 1910. That's not that 100 years in the whole scheme of thing is not all that long. And it's not sustainable. And when the shit hits the fan, it's going to be ugly. I mean, it's going to be really ugly. Yeah.
I just want to interject something, too, about the movie. Quick.
Yeah, let me
about the movie.
Let me give out the phone number really quick before you do that, please. Because we got a bunch of callers here, and people sending me messages they want to get on with us.
Yeah,
The number for you guys to call in is 929 That's 929-477-3565. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Tom.
Yes, about the movie 22 After, I just want to throw this out there because a lot of people is going to mention it. When Mark says that he wants to try to throw something out there to fund this movie, okay, I'm willing to help. And you know what? I try to promote something that Guy McPherson also says was considered a gift economy. I do things for people all the time. I'm a very charitable person. And I had people the other day on my YouTube channel, really good people that I've known for a while, and they said, Tom, is there any way that we can send you some money to help your efforts or whatever? And I, you know what I tell them? I says, take that money and put it away to prepare yourselves a little better. You know, I don't need to do all that. I don't need anyone's money. If I do promotions for people, for like Mark for this movie, I'm doing it because I want to, because I know this issue is so startling and it's so just disturbing that people need to see this stuff. They need to be aware of it. So it's nothing about money. But in order for Mark to do something like that, then that's going to be on everybody to get in touch with Mark, get in touch with me. I can put you in touch with him. We're not doing it for money. I'm not doing it for money. I am trying to promote this man's work because it is very important. Okay, I'm done.
Well, let's let Mark give out his information where everybody can reach him, and if, you know, they are interested in seeing the movie or if they want to donate to him or whatever, he can give out that information now, and then we can maybe try to get to some other calls and stuff.
Well,
Sounds
okay.
good.
The
Mark,
easiest,
you want to...
The easiest way, yeah, sure, Bobby. And the name of the movie is, just so you guys, you know, who are listening can write it down and get on Facebook. The name of the movie is 22 After, the number 2, AFTER. If you go on 22after.com, the website really isn't where it should be. We've got a couple of trailers for the movie, and there's a PayPal link if you should want to donate money. But like Tom said, I will tell you, and this is the first time you're going to ever hear somebody like me say this, hang on to your money right now. When we get around to crowdfunding in another week or two, and if you want to help donate and make this, you know, take it to the next level so we can make the real movie, well, then any donation will be appreciated. If you want to see the movie, just go to Facebook and look for 22 After. It's not hard to find. We've had, I think, in the past about week since we made it public, we've had about 21,000 views. Watch the whole movie through. Yeah, close your eyes. I had never thought of that, Tom. Thanks a lot. Tell people to close their eyes and watch the movie, because then they won't see the cheesy factor. There's not that much cheesy. I've watched it about 8 times now. Of course, I shot all the video. I wrote the script. I edited the whole darn thing. So to say that I've seen it about 8 times, well, I've seen it all the way through, start to finish, about 8 times. I've seen it a lot more than that because I edited every single scene and I put the movie together. But the last time I saw it, I watched about the first 40 minutes, and I said, yeah, it's not near as cheesy as I remembered. But you get towards the end, and there's a couple of cheesy scenes. You know, the people are too fat, their teeth are too nice. They don't look like survivors a year into a survival event. I mean, a year into a civilization-ending event, people would look really damn scary. A meth addict would look healthy compared to most people a year into a civilization-ending event. But go on Facebook, look on the links for 22 After, watch the movie, and, you know, I welcome all feedback. I'm not shy about that. Okay?
Okay.
Outstanding.
Well, you know what we'll do? When you're ready to, you know, start taking donations and everything, and you really want to pump it, let me know, and I'll bring you back on the show, and we'll talk for a while, and you know, I'll help you out also.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Good enough. Okay, guys.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Mark, and we'll catch you next time.
It's been a pleasure. We'll catch you next time, man. Bye-bye, Bobby. Bye-bye, Tom.
Okay.
Talk to you later, Mark.
Bye-bye.
Later.
Okay, we're going to bring on another caller. This guy's been on hold. I guess it's a male, female. I'm not sure yet. From the 303 area code.
Hello?
And 303 area code. You're on. Hello. Welcome to
Hi.
Rage Against the Regime Radio.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Hi, this is Jennifer. I'm calling from Colorado.
Hello, Jennifer.
How are you boys?
Good. I know who this is.
Far,
Jennifer
so
G.
What's that?
I said, I know who this is. Jennifer G. I'm not going to say your last name, but yeah, I know who it is. Howdy.
Oh, okay. So you got my message, I see.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good. That was, I guess, since we were talking about ISIS, that was kind of what I wanted to bring to your attention, which I found very interesting in relation to the fact that, I believe the CIA had something to do with Al-Qaeda being created, and now they're gone, and of course, we know this is a splinter group. You mentioned Bilderberg Group, and now here we have ISIS. And then the thing that bothers me with it all is here we've got this agency, and we see what they do. Now we have this problem with the same name, and I see these UN vehicles they're driving around, and that just really bothers me. But then you see Obama doesn't really want to refer to them as what they are, and they're not a threat, and he refers to them as ISIL. I have a hard time swallowing this whole pill that they're trying to cram down our throat. And yes, I agree with you both, or all of you actually, they are a threat. But I think they're already here. Our borders being open isn't an accident. It's by design, I believe. Yeah, and that's just my opinion.
Well, let me tell you what I think. I think the reason why ISIS changed its name is because I think people finally figured out where the funding came from here in the United States, and there's a company here in the United States by the same name, ISIS. It's got the same name, and they are a securities firm, and they also have a lot to do with doing security for, like officials and high-end diplomats and stuff like that. And I think that it's actually the same group. That's what I think.
Oh, yes, I agree.
I
think here's the twist to that. What if these mercenary or mercs, whatever you want to call them, they're black op. It's a black op organization. We are not a privy to what they do. What if they go in and train these radical groups? What if that's their job? What if that's they're specifically hired to do? How would that not be feasible? Because you can look on their website. You can look on their website, and you can pull up their current contracts, and the United States government is one of them.
It's very
absolutely
feasible. I mean, one of the things that concern me a whole lot right now is everything coming out of the alternative media is being censored. Anybody that's attacking ISIS or it might be going on, I got some information a while back, and I posted a video about it. And it was there for a month, and then boom, it's gone. YouTube just removed it. Didn't notify me, nothing.
Can I ask you both a question? I noticed something when I kind of, there's a website right now. The guy that created it is having some trouble with Canadian legal issues because of censorship. Because it's called Best Gore, and he started putting up war pictures, beheadings, things that were going on with the cartel, for example. Now, I started noticing the cartel, it just didn't seem right, all these beheadings that are going on in Mexico. It just seems like, why would a drug cartel waste their time and energy beheading people to terrorize them? They're down there to make money, are they not? It just didn't make sense.
Well, you know what? That's kind of funny because on my last podcast that I did, maybe it was the one before the last, I said that same exact thing. The Mexican cartels make way too much money here in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't crap where you eat. Okay, it just doesn't go together. So they're not going to come over here. They're not going to allow the terrorists to go into their country and bring them here, and then all of a sudden, hey, we're going to go attack the United States. Because you know what? Look at how many Mexican citizens are here in the United States that are family to a lot of them. Plus all the money that they're making in the drug cartels and everything, it doesn't make any sense. None of that does.
Exactly. Okay, so why is it nobody can see this? You can point these things out to people, and nobody wants to acknowledge. You can't ignore this. You can't stick your head in the sand. We have to stand together, and if we got to lock arms with the motherfucking borders, then that's what we do. Is it not? Because
Right.
that's what I was raised. I am proud of the fact that I'm 45 years old. I have family all my family are vets. My dad, my grandfather, I have every member of my family's been to war. And I saw what Vietnam did to my Uncle Ronnie. And I'm sorry, I don't want to experience war. And I don't want my kids to either. But I think it's a little too late.
Well, the only thing that I could really tell you is be prepared. I mean, be at the ready, like Tom always says. I mean, because you know what? I would like to hope that nothing would ever happen, that we would ever have to do something like that. But let's be real about it and be realist. I mean, we have threats coming from so many different places right now, like me and Tom were talking about earlier that we were getting to before, we had the last guest on. There's so many threats right now. Where do you begin? I mean,
and that's exactly, you're right. It's going to be one. It could be one thing or it could be a handful of things. I look at it this way: they threw a bunch of balls up in the air, and they're just waiting for the first one to hit, and they could all hit.
Exactly.
We don't know, and so all we can do is just do. Thank you for doing what you're doing, because of you guys. Honestly, I know what I know because of you. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I won't take a lot of your time because I know you have other callers, but I wanted to say something regarding 9/11, and I'll let someone else on. But I wanted to say, I just recently watched Architects and Engineers movie. It's worth checking out. And I agree, that was a controlled demolition. And I thought that the day I stood there and watched both of those towers fall. And I'm not an engineer, I'm a nurse, and I saw it for what it was. And that's all I'll say. But thank you guys very much for your time. I appreciate it, and I'll let someone else on.
All righty. Thanks for calling.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Yeah, she made a lot of good points there.
Oh, absolutely. We're rolling here.
Yep. You want to take another call? You want to talk about something else?
Let's do it. Let's take another one.
All righty. Yeah, because I got tons of callers on here. Okay, let's see. This person is the next person that's been holding the longest. Let's see. 307 area code. Hello, 307 area code. Who do we got? 307 area code, are you there?
Hello, yes, I'm here.
Oh, hello? There you go. Hello.
Sorry, I forgot I had my phone on mute.
No big deal.
I had my baby crying in the... My name is Kiani. How are you guys?
Hey, how are you? I know who
Welcome
this
aboard.
Hi. Yeah, this is the first time I've watched or listened to your guys' show, and I just want to say thank you for opening people's eyes and talking about things that people won't talk about.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much. I believe I know exactly who you are.
Yes, I follow you on Facebook, and
yeah.
I'm so glad I found you because, just the things you talk about, to always be ready and, kind of just watch your back, watch out for your kids, and I appreciate all that. Thank you.
I thank you so much because it's because of people like you that is why I do this. I started all this out, I said if I could just reach one person, and I've reached so many that it's just amazing because, the more of us out here that are prepared and ready for something any day of the week, then we become more part of the solution rather than the problem. It opens the door for us to help each other out a lot more. So I really appreciate those words.
Oh, well, you're very welcome. You deserve them. You're a blessing to people, and I'm glad you realize that.
Wow, thank you so much.
And
so you happen to have a question for us?
My question was just kind of if you guys had heard about the Brendan Tevlin story. He was an American who was 19 years old. I believe it was in New Jersey or New York, and he was murdered sometime in June. And they're just trying to get the word out there. They arrested a man for his murder, and they found out that he actually murdered 3 people. And he had told the police upon his arrest that it was partly because of what's going on with the terrorism in the Middle East. So I just wonder, if you guys think ISIS, I do think ISIS is already here. I think they've been here. I live in Cheyenne, Wyoming, which is a pretty small town, about 2 hours from Denver, Colorado. And out of nowhere, there was just a splurge in my complex of, they say they're Somalians, but they dress similar to Muslims. And they just showed up out of nowhere. Overnight, their whole family took over the complex. And they had no problems walking around like they owned the place and everything. And, you know, I accept people and their culture, so I was cordial to them and everything, but that just goes back to always, you know, you never know who a friend really is or, you know. But,
sure.
yeah, they just popped up out of nowhere, and I kind of feel like that's what's going to happen with these ISIS members.
Well, just so you know, there's over 50 camps here in the United States that Muslim, I'm not going to use the word terrorists because I don't know if they're terrorists. Okay, yeah. But there's over 50 camps that Muslims are training at here in the United States. They call themselves Muslims of America. But members of ISIS and the heads of, like, ISIS and people that used to be part of Al-Qaeda and everything else are seen in videos and pictures and everything at these camps. So what else would they be there for?
Yeah, It's just kind of, you know, ironic how the Muslim Brotherhood made its appearance in the U.S. And, of course, we're a welcoming country to those who, you know, come the right way. It's just a little, I don't know, it just kind of makes you want to get more into it. Like, what's really going on? Why are the borders open? Why are people just showing up out of nowhere? You know, why are people making threats? And,
something just to throw out. You know, I'm not affiliated with, I'm not a member of any militia groups or patriot groups or anything like that. I pretty much stand alone as a family man. I have a lot of friends and everything, and I have what you'd call like a network, I guess. But something you notice, do you notice how quiet the American militias have been lately? They've been very quiet, and there's reasons for that. They are sitting back silent, just waiting. Not that anyone wants bloodshed. But like I said in a video before, ISIS is not going to bring that shit to America and run around like they're running amok over there. It's just not going to happen. So don't worry yourself on that. It's not
we have too much pride just to let them come in and run over us like that.
It would be like, with the people out here nowadays, even in the suburbs and places like that, it would be like having a SEAL Team 6 on every block in the United States. It's just not going to happen.
Well, and then in a way I do. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I was just going to say, between people that own guns, hunters, ex-military, so on and so forth, there's what was that number that we saw just recently, Tom, over 3 million gun owners or something like that in the United States?
Oh, I think it was like 7 or 8 handguns to every individual in the United States, and there's 300 million people. So,
right.
Yeah, and that number's going up every day.
Yeah, I actually want to go out and purchase a new weapon that I've never really thought I would need a weapon, but it's just it's nothing bad to have one around if you ever did need it. I am a Christian, and one of the commandments is thou shalt not kill, and I never thought of ever killing anybody or ever even having to think I would need a weapon in case of an emergency. But just with all these threats, I kind of feel like, I am a protective mother. I'm a single mother, and I would just not let nobody ever try to harm my kids, whether it be like the guy next door or anybody coming here illegally. It's just
absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome, absolutely, and we agree with you 100%.
And let me just throw something out. You said you're a Christian woman, and that's great. I don't get in on anyone's religion. I've read the Bible myself 4 times. The last time I read it was to interpret it as a study. And, the true word, there is thou shalt not kill, but in the true word, I don't know it by passage or by scripture, but you do have the right to self-defense.
Yeah.
You're not going to walk in. I'm not going to lay down while you walk in and do whatever you want with my family. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
Absolutely
and
not.
If you're going to go out and make a purchase, I would recommend the Glock 19, simply because it's a 9mm, it's 9x19 parabellum, it's a NATO round, it's everywhere. It's the most sold ammunition in America. So
okay,
get a Glock
19.
Yes, get a Glock 19.
Because I would have no idea what to get. So.
For you as a lady, it's small enough to carry and it's big enough to fight with. So
nice.
There you go. You can carry that with you, and
lightweight.
nobody's gonna know. Yes.
It's lightweight with not too much kick to it, so it'd be good for you.
That's right.
Yes, and hopefully I would never have to use it, but in the name of God and protection, I would.
That's right. It's better to have one and not need it than to need one and not have it.
Yeah, because I just feel like America is in for a shakening. There's something going on, and I don't like to force my religion on people, and I've never even read the Bible. I've just kind of something, where faith comes in. And I just feel like America's in for a shakening, and we don't know who's out there who might want to hurt us.
That's right. I mean, at the same time,
Sure.
I've read the Bible. Like I said, I've read the Quran, the Book of Mormon. I've cultured myself very wide.
Yeah, so you're a well-educated man. I could tell that.
I try. I guess I wouldn't say I'm a well-educated.
Okay, well, thank you for calling us today. We're going to get to some more callers, but feel free to follow us on Facebook. Rage Against the Regime podcast. We're on Twitter, RATR podcast. And if you ever want to send me emails or anything, it's rageagainsttheregime@gmail, Rage Against the Regime podcast @gmail. And keep in touch with us and follow us and stuff. And, if you ever want to call in, feel free.
Okay, well, thank you for taking my calls, and I've been all over your page today trying to track down where to call in at. So I'm familiar with all your Facebook stuff. Thank you, guys.
Well, we finally got it together. All righty. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Have a good evening.
Okay, for anybody else that wants to call, we still got 3 callers on hold. Anybody else that wants to call, 929-477-3565. That's 929-477-3565. And we are going to go to another call. This is going to be the 304 area code. 304 area code. Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
We can.
Hi, my name is Angel. How are you?
Great.
Good, Angel. How are you?
I am hanging in there. I have some important questions for you about Yellowstone and the end time events. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We hear from many sources that Yellowstone is nowhere around to erupt, and yet we have almost every volcano known to man erupting at this point. What are the chances of Yellowstone erupting?
Well, that is a question that is not easily answered, and I would even be pushed pretty hard to try to answer that, because the truth is, with Yellowstone, nobody really knows. And if somebody says, yes, I know it's going to erupt, I mean, that's...
In the future, correct. Nobody can give a profound date.
Right.
Now, I hear that, if I could think, that everybody's worried about a group called ISIS and coming into the United States, et cetera, et cetera. My fear is not even ISIS, because I would say it's come my way in a heartbeat. I don't care who in the hell you are. If you're going to take down a Christian, which believes in the written word, not all things, but in the written word, come to my doorstep, I will profoundly bend over, and you can behead me, no problem, because I know where I'm going to go in life, in eternal life. In reference to the end-time events, we have a blood moon coming up in October 8th, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's the 8th or the 9th.
Okay. Now, there's been many prophecies of what's going to happen to Israel and what's going to happen not to Israel or happen to the United States or what's not going to happen to the United States. I'm just kind of curious what your theory is on the blood moon on October 8th.
Well,
you want to take that?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of theories floating around on the blood moon. There's been, I think this, if I'm not mistaken, this is the third one.
The third one.
Is it the third one or the fourth one already?
I
believe
thought
it's
it was
the third one.
The second. I don't know.
No, this is going to be the third one. This is going to be the third.
You know, and it almost takes it, and I know there was a book written by John Hagee, and he's one of the ministers or preachers or something like that. It almost takes it into a mysticism in a way. It's hard for me to. It's really hard for me to touch the blood moon type of theories. I try, like I say before, I try to operate and I try to talk and do everything in fact. I mean, theories is something I get from a lot of other people, and sometimes it's a theory of my own, but I'm not as knowledgeable, I guess you could say, as I would like to be on the whole blood moon theory.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I heard on a program that Christians believe on anything or in anything. Do you believe the same?
No, absolutely not. It would be
no, me neither.
To point a finger at any group and say whether they be Muslim, whether they're Christians, whether they're atheists. It would be hard to point a finger at any group and say that they would believe in anything and everything. That's entirely not true.
Okay, then I guess I heard wrong. See, Christians are the ones that are being beheaded, and they're the ones that are dying for Jesus Christ of Nazareth as written, if you go to the Bible. I don't know Satan's Bible, but I'm sure it's probably remotely the same. I would think. I don't know. I'm not Satan. But the events are of evil as of this time until God takes his wrath in the Great Tribulation and does his thing. How far do you think we are? Are we in the pre-trib, do you think, or do you think we are in the birth pains or the tribulation?
Now I'm understanding you here. You triggered something. So, okay, if we're talking about, like, tribulation and all that, I would have to say just my spirit. Now I'll get out of the fact stage and I'll go with my theory and my opinion. If we're talking about biblical events and we're going down a line here, I would say that we are just now entering the birth pain stage. That's just my opinion.
Just now?
Just now. I don't think we've seen nothing yet.
I think you're correct maybe on that. So if you're in a mobile home and you can't stock up as much food and water that needs to be a necessity, all right, and you are on the eastern side, what is it, Region 3 or Region 6 or whatever, FEMA Region 3 or 6 or whatever it is, 6?
Yes.
All right, what would you suggest to us? You know, we have multiple volcanoes all over the world going off right now, and I have friends of mine that are being criticized in what they say, and I have other friends that come through and say, check it out, and then if someone posts it, they're getting criticized for it, even if they didn't post it. So what would you say? They posted it, but it wasn't a secure source. What would you tell a human being at this point, okay, to in a mobile home where you have no money and very little shelter, to prep? How would you tell us to prep? How would you tell us to believe? Would you say go for and getting these seeds that you can't plant? If a catastrophe was to happen with volcanoes and whatnot, there's no pure water to plant these seeds into the ground for them to grow? Or would you say plant them in the house and germinate in the house if you have no money and yet you're a mobile home and all the toxins come through? What would you say to an individual that doesn't have a secure home at this point?
I understand.
You kind of answered your own question, though.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say she kind of answered her own question. You talked about a group, and you have a group of people that all have the same interests. okay? And some things, like you were saying, they post or whatever, and some things are better unsaid, okay? So, sometimes you don't even have to post what you feel that you believe in or whatever if you think that you're going to be criticized by people, because it's not worth it. But second of all, what I would say, me, myself, to prepare, get a group of your friends, okay, and everybody do their own little share. One person be in charge of, maybe you have somebody that's kind of like a treasury that you donate, you give your $5, $2 here or there, whatever. That person goes out and buys water on sale somewhere, stock up on water, stock up on, canned goods, stuff like that. You guys should come together as a group, okay, and figure out who has the biggest place that's the most secure that would be able to house, say, 10 people. Then
but it doesn't happen like that in reality in life. I am between 1 to 2 neighborhoods, and only maybe 3 out of 100 will only believe it.
Okay, let me throw something out here real quick. I just want to interject. Sure. That I understand what she was saying a minute ago about not having, and I deal with this all the time, and I'm going to come at it from my own survival perspective on what I've learned over the years and years and years and years. I have a lot of stuff prepared. I have so much stuff put away. It's unbelievable. I have a network, but let's say tomorrow I lost that. I don't have any more money. I don't have anything, and I'm in a position where I'm moving in a lawn storage shed, and I don't have any money. I don't have two nickels to rub together, a pot to piss in, or a window to throw it out of, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to rely on skills that I've learned over the years, which is bushcraft, which is fire building, which is trapping, which is hunting.
But there's nothing to hunt.
You got to get back to basics. You got to get back to basics.
But there's no woods to hunt. It doesn't matter.
Do you understand there's a world around you that's moving around that you don't even know is there? If it comes down to it, you could eat bugs if you had to survive. Because
why do others think Christians are the enemy? Why do others think Christians believe in anything and everything? But when they have been given a book that says everything that is happening is happening to this day, why? Is it a product with Satan? Is it a product of our imagination? Is it a product of denial? What would you say?
I don't know.
Angela?
Yeah.
Angela, I'm not trying to be funny, but I mean, he's actually trying to really answer the question of, how you could prepare. I mean, I understand, the second question, but let's let him try to answer the first one. Right.
All right, prepare.
Because a lot of people have that same question, and he could be able to answer that.
If you're in a city, you can't prepare.
Sure you can.
Well,
there's never such
I live in Chicago.
You can't prepare in the city because there's no land. And if you're not allowed, if you're only on concrete, what the hell can you do?
You can live on dandelions if you had to. Do you know you can make coffee
out
of dandelion?
Now, I do know that one. I wrote that one down, dandelions in the grass, and I got that written down. I know clover and dandelions, praise the Lord. I do. Let me ask you something. In reference to all the volcanoes that are now being active, do you see Yellowstone coming across in at least, and you can't say for sure, okay, nobody can, all right, but with all the harmonic tremors and the lava going up and down and everything else, and every volcano, I've never seen this many volcanoes in my history. I'm 45 years old, okay? I'm an old lady now. I have never in my lifetime, and maybe I didn't look for it in my lifetime, okay? But I have never seen this many harmonic tremors across the whole world and across the United States of America and Missouri, the New Madrid. All right, you got the New Madrid. Let's talk about the New Madrid. We've got a whole lot of little things, but not that much like the others on the New Madrid. What is your theory on the New Madrid? And it's just a theory, not etched in stone, but what is your theory on it?
Okay, first I'll throw out Yellowstone. I believe that, you mentioned Yellowstone and all these volcanoes. I think the Ring of Fire is really acting up. And as far as Yellowstone, I think there's been more activity in 2014 than we've seen in probably 30 years.
Amen.
As far as the New Madrid, I'll say this one thing. If we have a New Madrid earthquake like they had back in the 1800s with the infrastructure we have now, you're going to have some serious problems. I mean, serious problems.
Is that the separation from the east to the west? Is that the separation that separates the earth?
That's
the
Edgar Cayce map, if you remember that. Yep.
It is. Is it?
If it is, we're in serious, serious trouble.
Well, you know what? That's the problem. None of us know what's going to be.
That's right.
What problem does Iceland volcanoes to us?
The Iceland volcano is still classified as a stratovolcano. Now, it could cause some serious climate change if it continues with a very large eruption. It could definitely cause some climate change going on. But other than that, it's still classified as just a stratovolcano. It's not considered a supervolcano at this time.
What about the polar vortex? I am in the state of West Virginia, and the fleas didn't come out into my dogs until last month. And then they uprised all over my dogs, and now it's getting cold again. And I'm considering that actually a blessing because it's less in the money-wise. But what would you say to that?
I'd say that there's a lot going on with the climate right now. We were talking about that earlier as far as it meandering and just doing different things in bands. What we're seeing, I had tomato plants this year. I do a garden every year, like a pretty good-sized garden. And my tomato plants were crap. I mean, and I talked to so many other people.
Were you
and they
in,
said,
if you don't mind me asking?
I'm in Ohio. I'm right near you.
Oh.
I'm pretty near you if you said you're in West Virginia. But my tomato plants, they were crap this year. I might have got
Would you ever post? Would you ever put online as a real human being that knows the truth, okay, not to eat the fish, even if Maine is the only exception and the minor exception? Would you ever care about human beings to ever put a post not to eat crabs, shellfish, or fish unless it's from Maine for another half a year? Would you?
I can't really say that I would, because whatever is out there, it's in the food chain anyway, simply because of, that would be like saying don't eat bear, but eat fish, because you're going to consume that either way. Whatever, like, okay, say, raccoons, whatever, will eat fish, and if you eat a raccoon, then you're basically eating the fish. It's just being consumed down the food chain either way. So whatever's poisoned, it's going to be kind of concentrated, so it's not going to be as bad as what it would be to just pull a fish right out of Fukushima and start eating it there. I mean, that's a little different.
What came from Fukushima is in the Atlantic. It's in the east now, but not as potent as Fukushima. It wears down, but it's still migrating, which means it migrates north to Maine, okay? And Maine is the only hope at this point we have in having, well, not a clean fish, but a fish that is semi-toxic is semi-clean. What do you say to the public at this point, knowing that for Fukushima, running through the Pacific West Coast and running through all the oceans, that you know where it travels, baby, you really do, all the way up to Maine, what would you say? Would you say grab your own fish, buy your own fish for PetSmart and make them carp or whatever they might be and feed them yourselves and come up with these worms that are as toxic as a freaking ground we live on, what would you say? What would you say to us? You are our voice. We need you. What would you say to us?
Sure. Well, I understand. I mean, with all due respect, like I say, I can speculate and tell you what I believe or my opinion, but I mean, I'm no expert in that field. But what I do know is that if you go to PetSmart and buy fish to breed them or anything else, it's still out of the food chain. I mean, it's whatever we're doing. In other words, you're not going to avoid. You can't. There's my words. You can't avoid the inevitable. The complexity that we've built our society on with all these nuclear reactors and everything else, we have built ourselves into a dead end because, you know, and I would be lying to sit here and tell you if you don't eat fish, you'd be fine.
We didn't do it, honey.
We all did it.
We are part of it, but we didn't do it. Satan did it.
We're all together.
And we are a part of Satan that's not under Christ. And that's where the problem is. See, others say Christians are just a lie and believe in anything. But it's not. It's in a freaking book, all right? A book that says this is going to happen, that's going to happen, this is going to happen. And then Christians are criticized for it. And then even Satan has this book that says this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And he's not criticized for it. But see, it's Satan's word and Christian's word, and it comes out to be the same when it comes to the end time events. So, as preppers, there is really no way out. We can prep, and we're prepping to be vigilant. All right, we can live underground. We can live on top of ground. We can gather all the food we want. There's martial law coming instead. And you know what? I live on the side of 81, baby. And I'm going to tell you, I live on the side of 81, and they're going to come here. I can run to the mountains and to the hills in my state. And you know what? They're going to find me anyway. How are they going to find me? You think people are going to find people? Yeah, they will. But it takes an evil entity to really get. Now, how close are we to the number of the beast?
Boy, I got to tell you.
The economy collapsed. The economy collapsed. That's what's next to me. How close do you think we are to that?
You can answer that time, and then we got to get to some other calls.
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, like I say, I would lie to you, and I would be lying to you if I sat here and told you a date or that, it's going to happen tomorrow or anything else. And actually, anybody else that's going to tell you that, if they're giving you dates and all this, they're probably lying to you, too. Just don't lose faith in what you're trying to do.
Do you understand Christians are not stupid?
Yep.
Do you understand they go by a book like Satan does? Don't ever say that Christians believe in anything again. Because they don't. They believe what is written, and what is written is what is happening now.
I don't remember
what Satan wrote is what is happening now. It's biblical.
There you go.
Could be. All right.
It's biblical. And we, as human beings, are stuck in this crap.
We're all in it together.
And scientists know.
We're all in it together.
And you know.
We're all in it together,
and I
Angela.
know, and everybody knows. We have to band together under Christ. We have to get together, and we have to worship one God, not multiples. We have to believe in something we don't believe in. It's the only chance we have. You could build your bunkers all over the damn place. I know. I've got my stash in my home, and I'm in a mobile home. But yet I will turn my head over to ISIS and say, bring them here any freaking day. I ain't going to fight them. I'll just turn around and say, hey, just chop my freaking head off. I'm under Christ. I don't care. I'm not going to fight you. And I got a freaking grandchild on the way. Understand?
Yep. They come my way.
Appreciate the call, Angela. We appreciate the call, but we got like 5 more calls on hold, and we don't have very much longer left.
Take your call,
but we appreciate you listening to us.
You just remember what I stated because it's the only truth. God bless you.
All righty.
Thank you. Don't ever criticize the Christian, and don't ever criticize anybody that knows the truth in scientific, non-scientific, in investigation, in Christian, in hell, or anything. You understand?
Take care, Angela.
You got it.
Have a nice evening.
All righty.
God bless you.
Have a good night. All right. Bye. Woo. Okay.
We're on a roll here, Bobby.
Yeah, we're on a damn roll, man. Okay, we're going to go to the next caller. 303 area code. And 303 area code, let's see, it's taking a second to load here. They should have been loaded by now. 303 area code, can you hear me? Hello, 303 area code. I hear background noise. Hello, 303. 303 area code, are you there? Bye, 303 area code.
Well,
wow.
How about that?
Okay, we got another call. That's okay, we got another call. Oops, that person hung up. Okay. Anybody else wanting to call? 929-477-3565. That's 929-477-3565. Wow, has that not been some crazy calls, huh?
Yeah, you know, Bobby, we can't let this be the last time we do this.
No, you know what? Everybody should know what I signed up for, the kind of package that I got. I can do 3 hours a night every night, 7 days a week if I want to. So, I mean, I'm going to be doing other shows, bringing on other people and stuff. I mean, you know that you're always at the top of my list, that's for sure. But, yeah, whenever you get more time, we got to bring you back on because, I mean, you know, I can't tell you how many people hung up that were actually on the phone.
I know.
And that's funny, Jennifer. Oh, my God.
Boy.
Yeah, Jennifer just posted something that was pretty funny on my page. But yeah, I'm definitely going to bring you back. I mean, we've got so much to talk about. But since I don't have any other callers, how about we start talking about it? So.
Hey, whatever.
Oh, wait, now, here we go. I got another call right now. Actually, here, I'll go back to the I'll go back to this 303. Are you there? Hello, 303.
Well.
Jesus, they keep hanging up. Okay, I got another one.
All right.
307 area code. Hello. Okay, they hung up on me.
Nobody
they
wants
keep
to get off
answering and they keep hanging up. It's like I keep answering and they keep hanging up. Okay, so to cover some of the things, so, I mean, you know, today I noticed on your page that there were some reports that people had reported about some of the stuff going on at Yellowstone. You want to talk about some of the reports that came out?
I believe that was one guy, Dario or whatever. He just sent me a graph that said something about, oh, man, what was it? Something about a lava or something moving. Oh, let me see if I can pull it up here. I can't remember exactly what it was. But what an interesting show so far, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely have to do this again.
We covered some things. I mean, you know, I was kind of expecting us to, you know, cover more, but you know what? I mean, so far, I think all in all, you know, not a bad show. I enjoyed having Mark on. I mean, you know, he... I was interested to hear what he had to say about his movie and stuff, you know?
Yeah, he's a very interesting guy. He contacted me last week or so, I believe, after he seen my review on his film, and then me and him been talking every day ever since. I mean, we talk in the middle of the day sometimes. It's like a lot of thing and everything. We talk all the time. He's a very very interesting guy. Fun guy to talk to.
I'm gonna let you find that on your page, and we do have that same 303 person calling again. Let's see if they're finally there. Yeah.
All right.
303 area code. Hello.
Hello.
There you go. Hi.
Well, here's the thing. I was just trying to listen, and for some reason it's kicking me to you guys, so I guess I'll just ask a question.
Okay.
I really wasn't trying to bug you guys again, honestly. I was just trying to listen, because I don't know how to listen to you on the radio.
Okay.
Okay.
No problem.
So, all right, just a question. You guys were talking about Ebola earlier. This new one that's out, the respiratory, I believe it's called EV68, the one that's affecting the kids. Do you guys know how many states that's in? Yeah. Do you know how many states that's in yet? And how many kids are affected? 14 states, really?
So far.
And how long has it been? How long has it been out there? How long since we've been first told about it?
Like 10 days.
Oh, yeah, somewhere around that area.
10 days. And then how long ago was it that Obama signed that executive order about the quarantine and specific to respiratory?
You know what? You must have listened to my last podcast.
Illnesses, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm just
you must have listened to my last podcast. Somebody knocked me. Somebody knocked me on this.
This is the first time I'm sorry to say, Bobby, this is the first time I'm familiar with your show.
Okay.
I'm just tuning in for my first time, so I will be from now on, I'll tell you that much.
Okay.
But
well,
I watch when he signs an executive order, I look it up now. I don't want to be stupid anymore.
Right.
I want to know what my president's doing, and I don't like what I see.
Well, he didn't just sign an executive order. He put a patent on it.
Wow.
There was some kind of patent that he put on it. I don't remember exactly what the patent was, but besides him signing an executive order on it to be able to quarantine anybody that has respiratory issues, he also signed a patent that had to do with that whole respiratory issue. So, I mean, I'm not 100% for sure, but I'll find out and I'll let you guys know, as soon as I get the information what the patent was all about. But yeah, you're onto something because, he signed that executive order saying anybody that has respiratory issues, they can quarantine them and there's nothing they can do to get out of it.
Yeah.
Right. And the problem is that the plans are already in place. The plans are in place.
Well, and I don't know, did you guys, this came about like a few months back on an alternative media site, but if you went to the Federal Register, there's something on the actual Federal Register regarding a vaccine specific to Ebola, but the thing about this vaccine is they mixed Ebola with rabies. Why? Why? And you can go to the Federal Register website and look this up with your own eyeballs. No shit. No shit. And they bypassed everything you're supposed to do to get a vaccine approved. They bypassed it all. So it probably exists.
Wow.
I talked about this a long time ago about the doctor that moved to Indonesia or something. She won't even come back to the United States. That she said that they were going to try to, but back then it was the flu and all this other stuff, but she said they was going to try to induce a pandemic in the United States. So
that's what it looks like to me. I'm sorry, but what country was it that they dumped polio in their water and now all of a sudden these kids have polio and lo and behold, they're not calling it polio, they're just mysteriously paralyzed.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
It's the big grand scheme. Yep.
Go ahead, Tom.
It's the big grand scheme here that we're dealing with of what they'd consider population control, because these people are like Malthusian thinkers here. I mean, if you remember the words by Thomas Malthus when he said that, if the population was not controlled to a certain extent, then we would be wiped out eventually by our own, pandemics and plagues. So it's almost like they're trying to weaponize certain things. And again, here we go. I'm just conspiracy theorying here. But it's almost like they're trying to weaponize certain things to cull this population. I don't know.
Well, the thing of it is you're not wrong. The thing of it is the more you dig, the more you find. And it's disturbing what you will find.
Yes.
I don't even dig anymore because I'm so disgusted.
Sometimes I wake up.
I'm talking about the creation. I'm talking about it all, what they're trying to do with soldiers, just all of it. All of it. It makes me sick.
Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I may be driving to work somewhere else or just doing something and I wish I never knew anything.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys ever feel that way?
Oh, God, yes. And what really is bad about knowing what's going on is nobody believes you. You are just, no disrespect to anybody that has anything about the conspiracy theory stuff, but I'm sorry, look who coined the fucking phrase. Wasn't it George Bush? Hello. So come on. The same idiot. Well, we won't go down that road. I have an opinion. I'll just keep my mouth shut.
Wow. Wow.
He said himself, let's not feed into the outrageous conspiracy theories, just keep it moving.
Yeah, right.
It comes down to simple logic. I'm sorry, it just does. You have to put aside your fear, because if you look at society today, that is the common denominator I see. Everything is fear-based. Everything. Yes. And when you come to the realization of what resulted from 9/11, and it doesn't matter what your thinking is. It doesn't matter if you're a conspiracy theorist or if you believe the bullshit. But the bottom line is this. Look at what came from it. And I'm sorry, but I came to the realization the other day that our country, in the eyes of the Middle East, is responsible for genocide. Because we have killed 1 million civilians because of our war on terror. This country's war on terror that we were blindly led to believe was necessary to create peace. And if you learn anything from war, the only way, there's no winner in war. You can't achieve peace with war. It's not possible.
Well, let me tell you something. Bombing Syria to take care, because that's the common thing I'm seeing on social media. Let's kill these motherfucking ragheads. If you're Muslim, let's shoot them and ask questions later. But you're lumping Muslims into a category like you would be Christians. You can't fall for that trap, because a small group of extremists is very different than a whole mass population. Look at what Israel is doing to the Palestinians. And I'm not trying to get into a religious debate with anybody, but it's a simple fucking fact. They were given the land by who? Who gave them the land? The fucking bankers. Now look at what they are doing to the Palestinians. And if you follow it over the years, the Palestinian land has shrunk to what it is today, Gaza. But if you go back in history and you read your Bible, they did the same fucking thing to the Canaanites when they went into Israel, when they were delivered in Exodus. And I'm not a Christian, but I read the Bible. Right.
But I cross line with science and archaeology too.
That is correct.
Because you have to have something to back it.
I'm actually looking up that respiratory virus that's going around, and they're saying it's in the same family as polio.
Oh shit!
Wonderful.
Sorry guys, I don't mean to cuss. I have a potty mouth.
You're fine.
Oh, we do too. Times and places for everything. Okay. We appreciate you calling us back. Yeah.
No problem. Sorry, like I said, I was just trying to listen, but I guess since it kicked me through,
I can put you on hold. Just don't hang up. That's all.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. There's a little, but when you first come on, it'll ask you, do you want to just listen, or would you like to be part of the call? And then you gotta press a button or whatever from there. But I'll put you on hold, and then you should be able to go from there.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thank you.
Right. Thanks for calling. All right. So, there we go. So we were talking about Yellowstone and that report. Did you happen to find it?
Yeah. Oh, where is it?
Okay.
Yeah, I got it. It was posted on Bunker Report by a guy named Dario. I won't go into his last name, but everybody knows him on there. He's on there every day. But he says it has it on here with Norris Junction, intense magma intrusion, harmonic continuous event. And he had the graph on here from the actual website with isthisthingon.org. But yeah, I mean, it looked like a huge I mean, I'm not the greatest expert at reading graphs. I sent this to a friend of mine named John, and he's supposed to get back with me here in a little bit. But if you look at the graph on there, it's pretty disturbing. Now, if there's something wrong with the equipment is one thing, but they would have never tell us if there is or is not. I mean, I don't know.
You remember when I had Al on and I did that interview with him, and he just kind of like played me, I guess you could say. He said sometimes something happens to, like, you know, one of the machines or something, and that, you know, it'll look like it's actually something that it's not, and it jumps around, and, you know, it could be from, you know, water, it could be from a lot of different things, and, I mean, I believe part of that, but I don't believe, you know, I mean, if they're taking stuff down, they're taking stuff down for a reason, you know, in some of these reports and stuff.
I look at it this way, Bobby. I mean, Al Nash, come on there, and that's fine. And he says that a lot of that stuff is from the equipment malfunctioning and water and this and that. And that's understandable.
Right.
I'll buy that. I'd talk with anybody on that. But he's got to understand at the same time that it's his job to tell us that. So therefore, it's our job to discern and investigate these issues and put it out there if it's not of just the equipment. And, you know, Al Nash, whatever, he's the PR spokesman for Yellowstone. I mean, that would be like, you know, one of us going to, you know, a retailer and asking them, oh, you know, well, how's that, you know, does that swimming pool leak, or does, you know, if I buy that swimming pool, is it going to leak? And they say, oh, absolutely not. You know, that'd be like them saying, absolutely, it'll never leak on you. It's just going to last forever, you know.
Sure.
So, I mean, whatever. It is what it is. It was a good show, though. I mean, I enjoyed the interview. I enjoyed listening to it. But for them to just jump out there and just try to discredit everyone that has anything to say about Yellowstone we have to look at that and say, well, wait a minute here. There's a reason for that.
Right. Well, you know what? I mean, there's a lot of people. Now, here, take, for instance, Mark. I mean, I enjoyed some of the stuff that he was saying, but, you know, I mean, he thinks the exact opposite as us. And I like when people like that come onto the show because it gives us plenty to talk about. You know what I mean? You know, nobody's going to see completely eye to eye with you on everything, but, you know, some of the things that he was saying that he didn't believe in, I was kind of thinking to myself, you got to be joking me. You know, like JFK. Take, for instance, JFK. I mean, you know, for 50 years, you know, they kept the big secret, and they were supposed to release it after the 50 years, which they never did. But, I mean, look at all the stuff that people have done. There's a TV show, 10 Things, what the hell is it? 10 Things that I bet you didn't know or whatever, and it's Henry Rollins from the Henry Rollins Band, and they reenact the whole thing. And they have a professional shooter that, you know, can shoot any gun. He's like one of the world champions or whatever. He couldn't get 3 shots off in the amount of time that they said that Oswald did it. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about that right now, but just to talk about Mark, you know, and some of the things that he was saying, you know, it's some people, you know, just have it in their head because mainstream media makes them believe what they're thinking, you know, for the longest time, that, you know, it's people like that are stuck in their ways. You're never going to change anything that they believe in.
Sure. And I look at it the same way, and like you said, Bobby, I like sometimes to talk to people like that, and I actually enjoy the talk of debate and whatever else to bounce things off, because it would be no different than someone coming to me and saying, Tom, you don't need guns. You don't need any type of preparedness. You don't need to be prepared for anything. Nothing's ever going to happen. No one is ever going to convince me of that, right? I mean, right?
Right, absolutely.
Tom, leave your Glock 19 at home. You're not going to need that today. Nothing's going to happen. You know, you'll never convince me of that.
Right.
So therefore, we'll never convince anyone of what they believe. I mean, it is what it is. But I enjoy debate. I don't want attacks, you know, and I wouldn't want Mark attacked by anyone. Same as you, you know. It's same as Al Nash. I don't want anyone attacking Al Nash simply because of what he does or what he believes or what his job entails. See, He's what you'd call contractually obligated, because he works there. But anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Well, he made that clear. He made that clear from the beginning. He's like, I work for the federal government. Yes, they pay all my bills and this and that. But he did throw in, well, I used to be a news reporter or whatever at one time, and I know, this and that, whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. You'll never convince anyone on their belief system. It's not going to happen.
Right. No, absolutely not. Well,
but I do think we can coexist and cooperate either way.
Right. But then again, you know what? It is the way that it is, and I like it that way because it gives people stuff to talk about. Debate is nice. And you know what? Somewhere along the way, you might be able to teach somebody something, or you know what? You might get taught something that you didn't know.
That's right. You can't have you're right. You know what, Bobby? You said it best right there. Because you cannot have a closed mind. I go through life and I say, I want to learn. You ask anybody that knows me out here, and I tell them I want to learn something from everyone I meet. I want to learn something from you. I want to learn something from Mark. I want to learn something from each and every one of these callers I called tonight. Never have a closed mind. That's how you become. Right. That's how you just keep moving forward. Yep. When you have a closed mind, you might miss something that's very, very important.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. Okay, well, I mean, I still have, I set the show up for 2.5 hours because I didn't know if I was going to have blunders in the beginning or whatever. But, I mean, I know I set you for, 2 hours, and you probably have, stuff that you got to do. So, I mean, it's up to you. You make the call. Yeah, I figured that.
Us getting together, man. Well, us getting together took, 2 weeks?
Right. Well, we had, I explained it on my webpage. Our schedules, I had to apologize a couple times to people because I kind of jumped the gun a little bit, because I didn't get the for sure from you. And, our schedules are just so much, they're completely different from each other. So, being able to get together, though, I think it was a nice payoff.
Yeah, definitely. I think, this is definitely this is the best show I think definitely. And, we're going to continue to do it. I mean, as schedules permit and everything else, I mean, we'll get some stuff going, and hopefully next time we'll get even more callers, and maybe we'll start ramping through them more for everybody, and I'm sorry for everybody that didn't get through.
Right. Well, but then again, we only gave it one day, that we actually put it out there to people, to call in. It was only one day, not even. It was like a couple-hour notice,
Yeah, when you sent me the number, I posted that 1 hour before, so that is awesome that we got the response that we did and everybody come in there. That's great.
Right. All righty. Well, I appreciate you joining me, and I'll definitely be in touch with you, and then hopefully we can plan something for another time.
Yes, sir, Bobby. Make sure you send me the links on this and everything so I can spread this all over like wildfire, and we'll get together again. And as usual, man, if you need anything, you let me know. You got my personal number and all that, so whatever, man. You text me, call me, whatever you want to do. Anything
awesome.
You need, brother, that.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that, and the same from me. You want to put out, Bunker Reports page and, any way that anybody might want to reach us?
Yeah, they, if they put out, if they just go to Bunker Report on Facebook, or just go to Facebook and search Bunker Report, or you can even get on Google and just push Bunker Report Facebook, it'll come right up. Go to Tom Lupshu, that's Lupshu, YouTube, and it'll come. You just punch my name in Google, and the YouTube channel and everything will come up. Come on in. You can private message me from there, whatever they want to do.
All righty. All right, brother. I appreciate you joining me and taking time out of your day, and looking forward to talking to you next time.
You got it, Bobby. You take care, man. Like I said, anything you need, man, let me know.
All righty, brother. Thank you very much.
Later.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, everybody. That was Tom from Bunker Report. I'm always scared to say his last name because I'm scared I'm not going to say it properly. I believe he says Lupshu, but it's Lupshu. But yeah, like me and Tom were just saying, it took us about 2-3 weeks to put this together. I had been bugging the crap out of him. Hey, and just kept, asking him. And, I consider the guy a friend. I consider him a brother. I learned so much from him and from his page and everything. And for me to be able to get him on is like, I can't even tell you how much it makes my day. So, but anybody wanting to contact me, it's Rage Against the Regime at Rage Against the Regime Podcast. I got to keep remembering that. Rage Against the Regime Podcast at gmail.com. RATR Podcast on Twitter. And then we also have another phone number. It's 256-344-7287. 256-344-7287. And then the call-in number here, 929-477-3565. I'm going to be trying to do more shows, so hopefully you guys are interested. I will post it on Bunker Report page, or I'll actually send it to Tom so Tom can post it, because, Tom has so many posts that he posts every day. Usually when I post stuff on his page, it kind of gets lost in the shuffle type thing, and, he's very important. He's got a lot of stuff going on his page. So usually when I post on there, of course, me being nobody has any idea who I am. They just, nobody's going to want to hear from me anyway. They want to hear from Tom. But, yeah, that's the ways that you can reach out to me. But if you have any questions or comments, please, by all means, send me an email, rageagainsttheregimepodcast@gmail.com. But I want to thank everybody that called us today. I want to thank everybody that listened, and most of all, I want to thank Tom from Bunker Report. Have a good evening, everyone, and I will talk to you next time. And I will have audio on the next one. I just wasn't prepared for this today like this. Take care. Bye-bye.